top focus tonight on Gravitas. Around 60,000 migrants have entered Spain Ceuta from Morocco in the past 24 hours. Several have died attempting the crossing. And this mass crossing has triggered shock and division in Europe. The situation has been described as absolutely unsustainable by the president of Ceuta, with serious questions and concern mounting amid the ripple effects that continue to spread. First, take a look at these visuals. In the past 24 hours, this tiny territory security forces were overwhelmed by the sudden influx of these people, swimming, climbing, storming across the border from Morocco in several ways. In fact, some of those who died had drowned, but some were also reportedly killed in a stampede to cross a breakwater fence. That's the level of desperation that some of these people have been going through just to make their way, risking their lives. In fact, the waters near the border fence, littered with boys, shoes, other belongings left behind. The border crisis boiled over, with security forces clashing with the migrants on the Moroccan side of the border. Footage of the border early showed hundreds of migrants gathered on a hill overlooking Ceuta being dispersed with tear gas by the Moroccan forces, while others continued to swim to the Spanish territory. The Moroccan forces beat back crowds reportedly at the gates to Ceuta, trying to prevent more from storming across into this tiny Spanish territory. Now, just to help you understand this better first, geographically speaking, this is the area that we are talking about, the location. That's Ceuta. That's the part that we are talking about. This is on Morocco's northern coast, as you can see. This, in fact, is separated from mainland Spain by the Strait of Gibraltar and has long been a focal point for migrants attempting to reach Europe. Ceuta and Melilla trace their Spanish past to the 15th century. Coveted by Morocco, they have long been a flashpoint in the diplomatic ties as well between the two sides, and they in fact form the European Union's only land borders with Africa. Migrants from Morocco also attempted to cross into Melilla. That's where that's situated. That's Spain's other territory at the tip of North Africa. Like Ceuta, Melilla is a Spanish autonomous city on the North African coast. Many Moroccans consider both cities to be occupied territory. Let's just give you some more context here about who really are these people and why did they undertake this journey. Many of those crossing the border from Morocco have been young, mainly men, although there are also women and children in the crowds and even babies. Let's just break down for you the numbers first. What's the population of this place that we are talking about? The recent arrivals reportedly amounted to around 70% of the city's population. The population sits at around 83,000, over 83,000, according to the latest local figures. So we are looking at about 70% of these people, around 60,000 migrants basically, that entered Spain Ceuta from Morocco in 24 hours. So that's about 70% of the city's regular population. It's a staggering number. Next, how exactly did things even reach this point? Let's just explain this to you. The authorities in Ceuta and Madrid have linked this border surge to a recent decision by Spain's Supreme Court that ruled migrants arriving by sea could not be summarily deported, unlike those who cross by land or climb the border fence. Pedro Sanchez said migrant smugglers misinterpreted the ruling. According to him, it appears that this interpretation of the Supreme Court's ruling spread like wildfire over the past few hours through the networks of human trafficking organizations, he claimed, triggering this kind of mass surge. In fact, he also blamed human smugglers for the crisis, saying, quote, they deceive so many young people and ultimately lead many of them to their deaths. whether in the ocean or, as in this case, at Spain's border in the autonomous city of Ceuta. But some activists disagree. Some activists in Morocco, in fact, expressed doubt that the ruling was behind the surge. They argue most migrants would have been unaware of such legal decisions. Let's tell you more about what's unfolded in just the last 24 hours on the ground. Pedro Sanchez even visited Ceuta. He condemned the border breach, describing it as a violation of Spain's territorial integrity. Let's play out the statement for you.
En segundo lugar, definir lo que ha sucedido en el día de ayer como un ataque.
We define what happened yesterday as an attack, a violation of Spain's territorial integrity. Ceuta is a Spanish city, and what happened yesterday deserves our strongest possible rebuke and condemnation. We reject, condemn, and regard as deplorable the violation and attack on the territorial integrity of a Spanish city, namely the city of Ceuta.
Y el ataque a la integridad territorial de una ciudad española como es la ciudad de Ceuta. No quiero olvidarme, por
And over the last few hours, we've seen a string of strong reactions coming in. European leaders have called for Spain's temporary suspension from the bloc's free travel zone because of fears of a fresh migration crisis leading to a diplomatic row as well between Rome and Madrid. The Italian Prime Minister, in fact, warned of a threat to European security as she led the charge for Spain to be removed from the 29-member zone, which basically stretches from Portugal to Poland. Not just that, Meloni threatened to suspend Italy's open border agreement with Spain to defend the borders and ensure the safety of the citizens. Now, even though Italy does not share a border with Spain and is also an entry point for tens of thousands of migrants crossing the Mediterranean each year, the French Interior Minister also said France would strengthen border checks with Spain. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the images coming from Ceuta are unacceptable, saying dangerous crossings must stop immediately, smuggling networks must be dismantled, returns must be swift as the rules allow. Now, Spain earlier also said that it had reversed a huge rush of those migrants into a Spanish enclave there, with thousands of people who had crossed the border by land and sea already heading back voluntarily, it said. But the situation continues to remain chaotic and tense, to say the least. And here's the larger picture here. Spain is facing mounting calls to be kicked out of EU's free movement zone. Like we said, the mass storm of the border caused division in Europe, where leaders of fellow EU states basically called for Spain to ensure that the incident was contained. Right-wing parties around the continent blamed the incident on Spain's comparatively lax migration policies, according to them, including the amnesty granted to hundreds of thousands of unauthorized migrants this year. Pedro Sanchez has, remember, bucked the anti-migration trend that has gained ground across Europe, also in the United States, for example. Earlier this year itself, his government moved to give residency and work permits to hundreds of thousands of migrants already living in the country without permission. Sanchez argued that it would be good for the economy and the demographics of an aging Spain. Migrants who entered irregularly after Jan 1 this year were also not included. But his critics have also jumped the opportunity to attack his policies, saying it encouraged more migrants to come. So the criticism has been quite heavy for him. And Sanchez has defended his migration policy and distanced it from the events unfolding in Ceuta. But there are a number of questions here. Also, what happens next? We've already seen a lot of these developments in just the last few hours. How will this migrant crisis really be resolved? And this, after all, is about the haves and have-nots. And these people have been risking their lives and undertaking this journey. This is also about those people's desperation, as visible in those images we just showed you. These fundamental issues and core questions continue to hang in the air as the ripple effects of this crisis continue to spread.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.